One of the things I try to encourage parents to think about is how would you know if your child was learning well? So don't look at what they're doing, but think about how would you know if they're learning well. And the sorts of things I hear them say is that the children come home talking about what they've done. So you know the old question as a parent used to say, what did you do to school today? Oh, nothing, would come back. So what I would be looking for as a sign as a parent that my children were learning well and were learning to learn would be them coming home and telling me about what they've learned, sort of an enthusiasm for sharing what they're doing and almost a passion about getting on with what it is and not stopping. So they're not wanting to go and watch TV because they're actually wanting to continue on something that they were doing. It's really important to them. So they're engaged and that engagement continues. And it's very self-driven. So if I see that and I see not just a happy child, because my kids could be happy just running around, doing nothing at school, but it's beyond happy. It's about sort of sensing that they have a sense of purpose in what they're doing in learning, and that means that they. So when I go into their spaces, for example, where they might be learning now, it might mean that I don't see them sitting down and doing what I did at school, where I sat down with a book and I was writing off the board and really not thinking at all or not really learning. I was just sort of going through the motions. So when I walk into the spaces, I wouldn't be looking to see if the kids are talking so much. I'll be looking again at the learning. Because if you walk into a classroom and it looks very different from what you experienced yourself, you really find it hard to understand it. So if you want to understand it, the first thing is to talk to the kids. So what is it you're doing now? Why are you doing it? What are you doing next? And where's it headed? And what's the purpose behind it? And if they can tell you that, then you know they're learning. And not only are they learning, but they're learning how to be controllers and directors of their own learning. They're taking responsibility for it. So that would be the thing that I would be really looking for, reflecting on how well they're done or not done, and then being able to ask the question maybe, well, how does the way this space is set up actually help the students do that? Because if you think about when we sat in single seats or single desks in a row with the teacher at the front, did I learn to manage myself? I just learned to look as if I was learning or doing something so that the teacher thought that I was going to do something so she wasn't going to ask me a question or whatever. But it certainly wasn't one where I was learning to manage or direct my own learning at all. So we have to sort of look with a new set of glasses, and those glasses have to be much more about getting to the bottom of understanding the learning and what is actually happening at a learning level. I find a lot of the schools where the students are learning a lot about how to learn, that often they'll go home and the parents get the sign of it when the kids are starting to say to them, well, now hang on, you can persevere. If you've got a growth mindset, you'll actually be persevering. You won't be giving up and you'll be looking for strategies to help you. If kids are starting to say that sort of stuff to you, then you know that they're also learning how to learn. So be very careful about just looking at the spaces with an old lens.